Welcome to another episode of the Bogey Golf Podcast with AIG, dedicated supporters of amateur golf in Ireland. This series is going to showcase the very best of amateur golf across Ireland this year. Go and visit aig.ie for a range of exclusive benefits and discounts. Golf Ireland members can get an additional 10% when you go and visit aig.ie. In this episode, I'm joined by Caolan Rafferty, who got his 2024 season off to a hot start with a win at the Laytown Bettystown Scratch Cup. Caolan spoke to me about his journey in golf, finding the right balance for him between his personal life and competitive golf, and what it would mean to him to go one better and win the East of Ireland Championship after coming second 2 years in a row.
That was an unbelievable feeling. I still remember holding the putt in the second and just that feeling of, as it's rolling towards the hole, like, just please go in, I don't want to go any further here. If I had to pick one that I'd like to win the most, would be the East, because it's beside me. When you feel hard done by and you know you probably deserve to be there, I'm at that age now, I don't mind letting people know my opinions.
Caolan Rafferty, you're just back from Ross's Point. You both, I was going to say you brought the weather, but the weather actually down there was very good. So what's happened?
Yeah, like, I got slagged because I was wearing trousers all week. I was like, well, you don't pack shorts going to Sligo too often. So no. It was roasting, but a little bit different today, wet and windy, a bit more what we expected last week. But yeah, it was a good week. Good week. We got blessed with the weather, in fairness. Yeah,
to be fair, also you didn't play the West, but for the 2 weeks that it was going on, like, or the 2 weeks that tournament's been going on in Ross's, the weather's been great. Like, so far this year, obviously it was windy and stuff like that for the West, but yeah, good. It's not what you'd expect when you say like the West is going on or the amateur is going to be on in Sligo.
Definitely not. Like, I laugh because my first West, I actually played in shorts and a t-shirt, and obviously hearing the horror stories going over, it was like, what are you going on about? This place is lovely. The scenery's unbelievable. I'm getting to play in my shorts, and then the following whatever number of years it's been since has just been miserable at times. But yeah, look, the bit of wind and that, I believe the West was lovely this year. The lad said that, all right. Course was class this week. So I actually done a fitting day 2 weeks before it. And I remember ringing Collie on the way home saying, that golf course looks amazing there so far. And we've had the worst winter ever.
Okay.
And when they played it, they all said that it's probably the best Ross's has been in a long time, which was brilliant to hear as well.
Wow. High praise for a course that obviously hosts a championship every year and is always in good conditions.
So yeah, that's it's never too bad anyway, but you always see these little finer details every year that they're obviously working on, which is great to see too.
So how was the week? Solid result, I think. If you took to look at it backwards, what, top 10? Good week from that side.
Yeah, like, not probably playing as much as I would have played over the years. We kind of had a joke about before we started about that kind of hectic start to the week I had with leaving a wedge in the boot of the car at home and kind of having the ring and FaceTime the wife to see, is that in the boot or did I lose it somewhere else? But lucky enough, I had the van there to have a wedge with me. Not that I trusted it too often. I went to the 9-iron and just flew a load of greens instead, just to make life a wee bit trickier. But it was a busy week at the start. Head was scrambled, but as I say, nice to finish in the top 10 then as well at the end of it.
Because so when it comes to wedges in particular, like, you've famously got magic hands when it comes to your wedges. Does that really kind of get into your head that you're like, this isn't my wedge? I know this is not my wedge.
Yeah, a little bit. Like, kind of was lucky enough to play with Collie as well. I kind of had a joke about it and try and laugh it off. But behind it all, if you don't trust something, you're never going to really be happy hitting it. So I just decided to leave it in the bag as much as I could, and unless I really had to. But it definitely cost me a couple of shots in round one. So
you're also a married man. You're just back from honeymoon, and before that was the Laytown Bettystown Scratch Cup, which you've won for a fourth time now. Firstly, how's married life?
Yeah, it's been good. It's been good. I'm lucky enough to have a very understanding wife, who I think enjoys the free time at home when I'm at tournaments and has the house clean and not me coming in wrecking it. But
dragging grass in and stuff like that.
God knows what comes in out of me after a day's work. But yeah, no, it's been good. It's been good. Everything's going smoothly so far. We didn't kill each other yet, so that's a good sign.
The question I get asked very often is, does your wife play? So I have to ask it as well. Does your wife play?
Has no interest in golf at all. can never understand how I go out and torture myself for 4 hours each day and come home giving out about it and telling her that I didn't hold any putts again. And my response is generally, well, you need to putt better, don't you? And I was like, oh, well, yeah, if it was that easy, we'd all be doing it.
Yeah, exactly. So I mentioned it there, Laytown Bettystown champion for the fourth time with the Scratch Cup. You joked about, you were talking to the guys in the club beforehand, if you won it the fourth time, you'd have to take it home with you. You did win it the fourth time. Did you take it home for longer than usual?
It's still sitting in the house at the minute. Yeah, look, don't know what it is about the place. I just kind of go, it's early in the season for a lot of people. Sometimes it works for me, not practicing, not playing a lot of golf, just tee it up, hit it, find it, hit it again sort of style. But yeah, jokingly with the lads, they kind of said, well, look, next year we'll have a think about it if you win it again. So I don't know whether that's for a fifth time or I have to do it next year, but I'll be there to try and do it again anyway.
At what point does it become like, do you remember when the Open Championship was a belt first? They're going to move it over from a trophy to a belt, and you're going to have like that WWE style of
it'd
belt.
have to be a big belt to go around my waist. But no, it'd be nice to have something like that because the trophy might take up a bit of room. And again, I can't see ourselves being too happy with a big lump of silver sitting around the place all the time.
Possibly not. But I think for anyone that would have a passing interest in Irish amateur golf, your name would have come up a lot from when it comes to playing Walker Cup, Palmer Cup, representing country, and then obviously winning Laytown and coming close in the East, which we're going to talk about a lot later on in the podcast. Your journey into kind of where you are in golf now is probably not straightforward. No one's journey is. If you were to give a brief synopsis of kind of how you got into golf in the first place, how did you get into golf? It was in Greenore, wasn't it?
Yeah, Greenore. So Dad would have played golf as every club golfer will. He was decent enough, got to 9 at one stage. But like that, he was left-handed. So I used to caddy for him. Greenore, you kind of play 12 holes, come to the clubhouse, and the back 6 kind of separate. So I used to always leave him on the 12th, take his 7-wood because I knew he never needed it, and go to the range and hit it. So I actually started left-handed down the range of Greenore, just hitting shots, walking up and down the range. As a young fella did, never paid for balls, was just kind of robbed them down the range and hit them again.
Yeah.
But that's kind of where I started. And then when I had the interest in it, Dad said, well, let's take you for a lesson and see. So got my first lesson off Robert Giles, and he said, you're not left-handed, you need to get right-handed clubs. And thankfully never looked back since.
Do you think if someone gave you a left-handed 7-wood or a wood, you could hit it again?
I do tend to give it a go every so often. There are days, take the left-handed iron out and hit a few shots. Myself and Collie, actually, obviously because he works with me now, we have a bit of a challenge, see who can be better at left-handed shots. So I'm pipping him at the minute, so hopefully it stays that way.
So then from getting your first few lessons and turning back to right-handed or turning over to right-handed golf, what level, what was boys golf like for you? Like how fast did you take to the game? Because you see like the entries of all these like Scratch Cups and championships, and everyone's handicaps are next to it. And obviously the world handicap system is, you can make of it what you want. That's a different podcast.
Yeah, it's another day's walk down.
But you're up there, what, +5, +6 now at the moment?
Yeah.
How do you get from going from left-handed to right-handed to +6, +5?
Yeah, well, I always say that to everyone. I was dreadful at boys golf. Like, didn't really, obviously the handicaps were different. You get into them then, you could get in off, I think I had maybe 5 or 6 at the time, whereas now you wouldn't get near it off that. But I didn't compete. Some of the scores I shot were awful sort of stuff. But I was just a hothead in the golf course when I was younger. I just got thick, didn't enjoy it. So I kind of got frustrated with it then for a while and gave it up for a couple of years. Just stopped playing because there was no enjoyment in it. Started working a little bit. Loads of different things kind of got involved. But I found out what a pint was as well, which probably was another way of doing it. But
what age were you then when you kind of gave it up for a couple of years?
Kind of around that 18 sort of age, just kind of took a little bit of a break, maybe a wee bit older. But when I wasn't enjoying it, I said there's no point in torturing myself and going through the motions with it.
Yeah.
So took the break, kind of got back into it a little bit with working in the driving range, played a bit more, got in with Brian Carey at the time there. He kind of gave me a bit of coaching, and I just started to enjoy my golf. Just go out and play for the fun of it. Things started taking a good turn around 2015. I think it was a couple of good finishes in the championships, seeing scoring getting better. And it was solely down to just relaxing.
Yeah.
Just hit it, find it. That's my motto: is hit it, find it, hit it again. And if you can't find it, just go back and hit another one. But that kind of got me through to where I was then, of getting handicapped down, competing at events, started to get a bit of belief as well that you're actually good enough to compete with a few of the lads.
Sure.
But probably the amateur and Princes was the real breakthrough, and I kind of shot that low score, shot 10 or whatever it was at the time to be leading qualifier. That really kind of cemented it in then that, look, you're good enough if you do what you're doing. So I kind of stuck with that idea, or that sort of mentality of just don't try and change what you're doing at the minute.
And were you in Maynooth then when you had played that amateur?
No, I kind of went to Maynooth then just after that.
Okay.
So that would have been, a year maybe after that, I think. Dreadful years, I can't remember anything. But that was kind of a decision that I had made because I was in the driving range, and then Brian got the job in RD, so I went with him looking at the PGA route maybe.
Okay.
And it all kind of happened together, got involved in the Irish setup at that time, and it was a decision: do I play amateur golf or do I do the PGA? So kind of sat with Mum and Dad, sat with Brian, and we discussed, look, the opportunities coming on an Irish team, you don't get that every so often, so maybe explore that avenue for a while, see where it brings me, and I can always fall back in the PGA. That sounds bad, but it's always something that I could do down the line as such. And again, luckily, every decision I made went well from there.
That's fascinating. I think that's very, very interesting. That you had those two options open to you, but you then go into college as a mature student, or because what age are you at that point?
So I was just 23 around the time of going back to college.
Quite a young mature student. I think being called mature student at 23 is quite tough.
Just made the criteria, I think, at 23. All right.
And so was the goal for going into college, and was it to play college golf and see what you can get from the amateur side, or was it let's get the college experience, let's get a degree? Like what was the goal for Maynooth?
So kind of Eugene Smith had done it the year previous, maybe 2 years previous. He kind of went back to Maynooth, seen a lot of good things happen to him.
Sure.
And I kind of spoke about it. Mum and Dad, they were like, it's either one or the other here. If you're gonna not do the PGA, which was going to be the avenue I was thinking of doing,
sure, we
want you to get a degree behind you that gives something to fall back on, because golf is a hard game to make money at, as you can see, and pro golf is tough. And I still wasn't at that elite level as such at that time, so they were definitely covering me back by getting a degree, that you have something there to always fall back on. But also then the whole idea of getting to be on the scholarship program, seeing what they do, seeing what Barry had built up there, kind of was exciting to think that I can play golf pretty much full time here, and obviously have to do a bit of study work as well behind it, which didn't always go to plan, but it was just nice to have that sort of option available then at the time too.
So Barry Fanley was in, and obviously as he still is with Maynooth, he was in there when you joined in?
Yeah, Barry was the one that kind of, Eugene gave him my number, and I still hadn't made my final decision, but it was nice of Barry to reach out to me at the time, and he gave me all the details that I needed to know and what I would have to do and whatnot. So he was a big help in kind of getting me into Maynooth then as well. He was obviously pushing at the time to promote the program too, and I had started to kind of come on the scene, so it kind of was a nice thing for him maybe to get a player in as well.
Of course.
So it worked both ways, but definitely probably one of the best decisions I made. Everything that he had set up for us was so good. You had all your psychology side, you had your strength and conditioning, you had the golf, you had all the coaches, you had all your training camps. Everything was done. Yep. It was just show up and use it. Don't waste the chance you get. And definitely them couple of years were a big help, because my golf then got a lot better from that. Bit more time to focus on it.
And is it got better because there was structure in place for you to work on it, or was it a case of golf was all around you, so you just played all the time?
Yeah, it was a little bit of, I had golf and I had a social life as well. I'm a bit of a disaster when it comes to the social aspect of it, that like I could go out in the evenings with, Aina Griffin was my partner in crime in college, that dragged me out more often than I probably should have went out, but that was kind of a big help, because I could again switch off from what I'm doing next in golf, or what was the bad day in golf. I could go out and have a bad score and come home and have a laugh and a joke in the apartment with the lads or whatever, and kind of just move on quicker.
Yeah.
But also having the facilities of Carton House and having the range there, the GUI and everything else, like, you couldn't not get better. That was the whole way I looked at it, and use what was there. So we had the best coaches at the time in wanting everything for you. Well, best coaches that we were available, I suppose. And if you didn't use them, you were a foolish man. So that's what I kept telling myself. And definitely that was the big thing for me.
Because the Irish and the European collegiate system has definitely advanced, kind of even during the COVID. Like, I think COVID was probably the start of when you could start to see kind of Irish and European golf improving in a big way in comparison to the standard routes. Kind of, go over to the States, try play on like a D1, if not D1, D2 college,
and work your way
and
up,
just work your way up and just play over the States and just even play US golf. Whereas for years, I remember even when I was growing up, we're pretty much the same age, you looked at like that route over to the States because there didn't seem like an alternative in Ireland if you wanted to stay here. Whereas now there's very much as they were now, just a student series, which I think you were in that last year. Your last year of college.
Yeah, my last year was the first year of it. And like that, its first year, there was always going to be hiccups in it. But looking at what that is now, I actually was speaking to Dean Robertson last week about it. It's just growing now, and as you say, it's an avenue that not everyone can get to the college in America now. It's becoming much more difficult, and why not use what's on your doorstep? That's why I always say, like, Barry is as good a program to an extent. From the budgets, obviously, are slightly different in America than what we do over here. But it's just so much easier to get to, and just use it is what I say to people.
For sure. Because a lot of people, like, you hear also, as many stories as you hear of people going over to the States, you hear as many of people going over and not enjoying it. Like, they're home birds, they didn't like the US side of it, and they, having somewhere like Maynooth or that new like RNA student series, if you play in Ireland or you're playing around Europe, you can get that level of competitive golf at your education at the same time. But then also, like, it's a smaller pool, it's, you're not competing against like thousands of guys week in, week out in the States. It's, it is a smaller pool in Europe. And I think the carrot for it as well is having like those two spots on the Palmer Cup is like, if you look at it purely from like a stats perspective, you're like, this seems like the way to go. A bit more of a chance
here, yeah. And that's the thing as well. Like, you kind of see it in the boys now, Maynooth, they're all competing to win. Like, not saying that they win done in the bigger fields, but it is much more difficult to win when you're out there in the States. And that kind of mentality of winning is a big thing. So Tiger said it for years, winning breeds winning, sort of thing. So definitely that's going to be a big advantage now, that if they're competing each week, then they feel they compete in any competition. So, as you say, it's definitely a help in that sense too.
Do you keep in touch with Barry much?
The odd text every so often. I'm a disaster for keeping in touch with anyone. I'm in my own wee world most of the time. So I always say, I'll meet you up for a coffee, Barry, whenever I'm in it. But sure, I'll be in and out a minute in 2 hours and forget all about texting him or meeting up with him. And I am a disaster at that. I'd be the same at home. I'd text the lads, I'll meet you in an hour, and could be 3 hours later, I'm still not anywhere near where I should be.
Oh, geez, so you're a nightmare, are you?
Yeah, well, if you ask herself, I'm definitely a nightmare, yeah.
So what was the highlight of the college career and Maynooth?
Palmer Cup probably was one of the big ones. Lucky and unlucky in one sense, I suppose, because it was meant to be in Lahinch, which would have been unbelievable playing it at home.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, we had to go to Bay Hill, which was an awful letdown then, no, it was unbelievable. Around Christmas time, it was over. It was actually my birthday as well when I was there, so it kind of all tied in nicely that I got to play it around that time. Just weird, obviously, with COVID. We probably didn't get the full experience of what Palmer Cup is. But to have it in Bay Hill and get up to the office, Palmer's office and everything else, like, it was unbelievable.
What is that? Paint that experience for, like, paint that picture of what that experience is like, if you could.
Like, it's literally walking in, nothing has been touched. Everything is as it would have been when he was there, and they just love him. Like, he was a role model to everybody, but it's amazing how much they worship the man over there. Like, as silly as it sounds, but everything about it, all the letters that were sent to him are on the walls and stuff like that there. It's just a cool experience. If you're into your golf, it's like St Andrews going there. It's just that feeling. It's hard to explain it sometimes. You just get a feeling when you're there.
Yeah.
When you walked in there, it was just class, like, just to see it all.
Because that Arnold Palmer experience came obviously off the back of, well, like a 12 and a bit month period where you won South, you won West, and then you go into Arnold Palmer Cup. How good a measure is a tournament like that for you to go, right, this is where I'm at internationally at an amateur level?
Yeah, well,
it's the best of the best, really, isn't it?
Ludwig was on the team when I was there, and I was kind of watching them trying to drive the fifth, the par 5.
You're giving us some chipping advice, are you?
I was just looking, saying, I'm so far off these boys, it's a joke. But no, like, he was always a standout anyway. I would have played with Ludwig a couple of times before that. Vincent Norm was in that team, who also won on tour. Like, it was just an eye-opener of how, again, it's golf in America versus golf in Ireland. It's a completely different game. They hit it straight in the clouds, and it's carrying 300 where I'm chipping it head high, landing at 210, running it out. So it took a bit of time to obviously adapt to that. But it's just that little difference in standard is massive at the end of it all. Like, you probably could go out and beat them a couple of times, but just how solid it was watching them hit it and how professional they are about the way to go about their business is just something else.
Were you happy with how your Arnold Palmer Cup went?
Yeah, I had a good match against, I can't give the chap's name now, he was from Duke. Remember holding the Tiger putt on 18 as well and feeling like a grateful too. That kind of stood out. But yeah, it was good. Olivia carried me in the foursomes, no point in lying. She was brilliant that week. But yeah, it was good, as I say, to win it as well. Then it's a good feeling because Mark was on the team as well, so kind of a bit of banter with him. Unfortunately, we had to run off to get our flight straight away, so we missed we just got the presentation and then had to go, so we kind of didn't get the full buzz at the end, if you want to call it that. But it was a class week. Like, did
you have to go because of COVID, or what was?
It was just kind of our flight times, whatever way, because it was around Christmas time as well. We were trying to get home for Christmas or whatever, or maybe New Year. I can't remember exactly what. I think we Christmas Eve we got a flight, and the only flight available was at that time. So we both decided, look, I'd rather be at home for Christmas than stuck in an airport.
That's on my own. Yeah. How different an experience do you think it would have been? Obviously, the Arnold Palmer Cup is now coming back to Lahinch. It was meant to be, but then with COVID, it got moved over, and it was in Bay Hill. Do you look at it now? It's obviously it's upcoming. You're like, oof, that would have been special.
Yeah, it would have been unbelievable because you could have everyone down watching. Irish crowds for golf are amazing, as we all know. But
different tests as well as a golf course.
Completely, it would have suited me a lot better as well. But yeah, having that sort of, the golf course, everything about it would have been just that wee bit easier, nearly to adapt straight into it. But yeah, I'm definitely jealous of the lads playing it this year, because it is this is going to be Ryan's second one, I think, anyway. So lucky enough to have one at home as well. He knows what to expect.
Yeah.
But yeah, it'll be some week for them.
But from a week like that, playing Palmer Cup and then obviously Walker Cup as well, do you come back from those international elite tournaments and come back to the Irish side and like the Souths and the Easts and the likes of that and go, this is what I picked up, I can take it to that, and just have a bit more confidence knowing you're like, I played against the best of the best here. I know I can do a job. A
little bit of both ways. You kind of come back deflated watching some of the lads hit a ball beside you. But no, you do come back with a lot of that kind of, you're good enough to be in that level. It builds that little bit of extra confidence in you. I'm not going to say the game feels easier, but you definitely just don't have as much fear maybe standing over shots or something. It's a tricky one to explain. Palmer Cup being a bit different because I probably didn't lift the club then for a couple of months after it, because I normally take a break in the winter, so I kind of came at a funny time. But yeah, no, you do you pick up little bits and pieces of what someone else had done, especially in that team environment. You're listening to lads, I done this or I done that each day, and you kind of say, well, gee, I might try that myself, or maybe that's another way to look at it. So yeah, you do pick up little bits and pieces.
Because obviously you're playing that, and now you've won two Irish national championships. You won obviously the South, you've won the West. You won those before you played in Palmer Cup and the likes. How much do you take from those tournaments, and take me back to the South when you won your maiden championship title? Like, you talk about the journey you've come on from, where you talk about boys and you weren't lighting it up, and it was a gradual progression and a serious amount of resilience, I guess, as well, from kind of not picking up a golf club. You kind of leave the game for a couple of years, come back, play in college. When that win comes in South, is that vindication that you're feeling, or is it just pure joy?
Yeah, I felt that was an unbelievable feeling. I still remember holding the putt in the second on the 20th. And just that feeling of, as it's rolling towards the hole, just please go in. I don't want to go any further here. But I think I said it in an interview after it. It's like the monkey off your back.
Sure.
That's a comment that's made a lot from lads winning their first one and stuff. But it is really, you knock on the door a few times, you come close in other events, and you're probably good enough to win one, but it's just when is it going to happen? So I remember standing on the 18, taking my hat off to shake Rowan's hand, because he just played the better golf that day. I grinded it out as much as I could. He was just slightly better, and then unfortunate missing a putt in 18, giving me the opportunity then to get back at him. And I remember just kind of saying, right, let's not let this go. I think Owen was caddying for me, and I just said to Owen, this is my chance. This is the one I need to go now at. And I lipped out in 19 to win it from about 10 feet.
Oof.
And then drove it into the fairway bunker on 20, and I just turned to him and I was like, maybe I was wrong. Maybe this isn't my time. But still, the 4-iron hit in for my third shot after splashing out. It's probably one of the best golf shots I've hit, to 20 feet, put the pressure back on Rowan, and unfortunately he missed from just outside me and I hold in on top of him. But come back to what the feeling was just unbelievable. It was it is very hard to explain. I just wish I had a jet to take straight back to Dundalk and celebrate straight away rather than the 3.5 hour drive home. But we got back eventually and got to celebrate anyway.
What's that 3.5 hour drive like? Because obviously you're all the way up here. You're elated when you win, go through the whole trophy presentation. That takes a while in itself. So you then get into the car. I imagine at some point you might have showered, maybe not.
For a champagne show when I got back to the club, I think it was just get in and get started with the lads.
So you jump into the car and you have no option but to just be there with your thoughts. What are those thoughts?
Yeah, so Haley was with me in the car actually the whole way up, so it was kind of nice to have that. As I say, Haley wouldn't be mad into the golf, so it was kind of let's talk about something else now. And it was kind of that's happened, let's take a break from it, because if you got excited the whole way up the road,
you'd be exhausted.
When you go home then you're not going to enjoy it. So it was nice to have that, laugh and a joke about different things on the way up the road, talk about, I can't even remember, whatever we passed by on the road sort of thing. But then getting to the golf club, it was that kind of lift again, just you see the people there. Haley, I remember Haley taking the trophy out of the box and kind of handing it to me, throwing it out the window, driving in down the lane. But it was just that kind of, you just lift it again, you're not tired all of a sudden.
Yeah.
And that was kind of the big thing, that if you keep talking about it and get excited the whole way up the road, you probably would just hit a wall eventually when you get there. So it was nice to have that. The 3-hour drive didn't feel long at all then either. That was the other good thing about it.
You then followed up very quickly with the West. How different a win was that? Yeah,
it was a big difference, because the week before I was in St Andrews in the RNA series, which was the old version of it, and the winner got to play Palmer Cup, whoever won that week. And I had a 5-shot lead going into the last round and lost by 1. I just got a bad case of the duffs around St Andrews, and it wasn't pleasant. But come home then, obviously went straight from Dublin Airport with TJ to his house. I stayed with TJ that week, and we got up the next morning, went to play a practice round, and the weather was horrendous, so we just didn't bother. We just went in and had a load of tea and coffee with the lads and a couple of buns or whatever it was. But I remember saying that was probably the best thing to happen to me, because I could just forget about golf and have the crack with the lads in the clubhouse that day. Whereas if I went out for a practice round, I probably would have been thinking about things that happened the week before. But that week, I had a 5-shot lead going into the last round again. And I remember a few of the lads were like, geez, don't do what you done last week. That'd
Oh,
be an awful
Jesus.
shame. And I was like, thanks a million for that. And I thought it was just the boys who were going to do it until my dad rang me and he was like, yeah, same as last week. That's nice, isn't it? I was just like, thanks a million, boys. This is really filling me with confidence. And I just remember going out in the last round, like, you just accept it. That was the big thing. They kind of accept what's going to come. Like, I didn't do too much wrong the week before. I shot level par in the last round, but it was just someone else shot a better score. And I remember kind of starting off in the last round in the West. I enjoyed the stroke play aspect. I do like stroke play around Ross's anyway.
Because that was the first year of it being...
That was the first stroke play, yeah. And I obviously am a big fan of that. I'd like to keep it that way if we could. But, yeah, no, I just remember going out. Conor Purcell and Aaron Edwards-Hill was the 3-ball, and the two boys started pushing early. And the lead was cut very quickly. I think Conor was within 1 or 2 of me around the turn. But it was just a case of just dig in and let them keep chasing. I knew that it'd have to go my way eventually. I hit a lot of good shots, a lot of shaved edges with the putter, so it was just a real case of dig in and don't hand it to them. I know in 14, I held a nice 20-foot off a birdie. I think Conor 3-putted it, and that was really the separation point then to just kick on from that. I think I had a 4-shot lead playing the last, so you could enjoy it down, which was a nasty back left pin, and it was just the middle of the green, 2 putts, get out of here as quick as we can. But yeah, it was a good feeling that as well. Like, just, as I say, you win one, the second one comes fairly quick. Just kind of, it'd be nice if they came a wee bit quicker again.
So how different did the second win feel? So you said that obviously it's came pretty quick. Good to get it. You'd like a few more wins, but I'm sure those wins will come. But how different does the second win feel?
Yeah, the second one was, I suppose, it was still an unbelievable feeling. Just different to the first. It is, like, your first is always going to be the one you probably remember a bit more. But then with the way the week it went, staying in TJ's house for the week, it was kind of like what would you describe it? It was like just being at home because TJ's mom cooked dinner every evening for us.
Sure.
We had a couple of beers in the evening, chilled out, lying on the sofa. It's a bit different to a hotel room. So, yeah, that was a big sort of nice, relaxed week. But I didn't get to kind of do any celebrating after that because I drove from there to Dublin Airport to head out to Nations Cup with the Irish team straight away. So we flew out the next morning at like 9 or 10 o'clock. So it was just a case of, there's one suitcase, give that to Haley and I'll take this one and I'm away to the airport.
Okay.
So it was a bit of a quick turnaround in that sense, but it was good as well. You could kind of just get back into playing and get back into competitive golf, which
refocus
was good. Yeah. Now, we didn't have a great week in Nations Cup, but it was nice to be able to go out and do that, I suppose, as well.
Did you get the chance then to bring the 2 trophies back to Dundalk?
We did, yeah. There was a good night with the 2 trophies. Photos actually look well when the 2 of them were there again, just to remind you that you had it. It's nice to, it's like Foley would have had it as well with the couple at the same time. It's a nice feeling to be able to have 2 of them there. I know there might have been different years, but still, we had them in our possession for long enough.
Yeah.
But it was a nice evening. Just again, a wee bit more relaxed than probably the South was.
Sure. So when you've, in and around that couple of year period, you knocked up a couple of big titles. You played Walker Cup, you played Arm Palm Cup. Like you've played against the best of the best. You've won a bunch. Does the idea of pursuing this as a career pop into your head at all?
I always said it never really did. Probably after Walker Cup though, obviously there's a lot of things kind of dangled at you that carrots are there that if you want to take them, go with them and see if it works. But I wanted to finish in Maynooth. I wanted to finish the degree. I was after doing 2 and a bit years in it, so I was like, why not just do the last few months? And that turned out potentially to be a bad decision because I done my final exams at the kitchen table, COVID kicked in and there was nothing happened after it. So that kind of opportunity, I was maybe have thought of it then that September. That might have been when I would have considered it. But sure, I just didn't play golf. Once COVID came, I was not going to say happy, but I just didn't play golf. The club sat in the shed for whatever length of time it was, even though the Irish squad now, we had that kind of little bit of play that we could go out. I was like, what's the point? There's no competitive golf. There's no championships. There's nothing
There's nothing to play for.
nothing to excite me about it. So that kind of just put an end to it. Then I can't say I never look back and say what if, because who cares really what it was going to be. I'm happy where I am now in life. I have a good job, full-time job. I'm happy with it. Married and all that, house. So I kind of said to myself, would I be in this position if I was to give pro golf a go? Who knows? It's just one of them. It's a long sort of struggle, and I see lads that I know are definitely better than me struggle. So I kind of said to myself, would I have had the patience? Probably not. I think I made the right decision in the end, or COVID made the right decision for me in the end, maybe is the way to put it.
It seems like you're very content with life at the moment. Like, for a lot of people, golf is everything. And golf is their job, their hobby, the determining factor in whether they have a good day or not. Whereas it seems like golf's part of your life.
Yeah, like kind of last week in Lytham, missed the cut. I played dreadful, and for about 10 minutes, I was kind of like, what was that? Why am I here? Or why do I do this? But when I actually think back, it was nice to be able to go and play Lytham. And that's kind of the way I look at life now, or look at championships, should I say. The weekend, the same there at Irish Am and Ross's. The first day was a bit frustrated with it. Second day, a wee bit less frustrated. And then the last 2 rounds, I played with Jack McDonald, and kind of good to talk to someone that's in the same boat as me. He's working full time and trying to play a bit of the championship golf as well. But I know on Sunday there on the 2-ball, we just went round as if it was 9 holes in an evening. We laughed and joked. We both shot 3 under. We were trying to, nearly as if we were playing for a fiver against each other. It was just that kind of ding-dong battle. But that was kind of the real enjoying side of things then. I was saying, because that's what I need to do more, because I'm not pursuing it anymore. It's just like, let's go. It's a few days off work or whatever it may be, playing a good golf course. So let's look at it that way from now on, is what I'm kind of treating it as.
The ironic thing is, if you treat it like that and you kind of just look at enjoying it more, probably going to end up playing better golf and winning more as well.
That's the thing, yeah. That's what Haley keeps saying to me. We just enjoy it and stop getting down about it. And I don't get overly down anymore. I will have me moments, but as I say, if I can just go with that attitude, I'll definitely enjoy it more.
What's your favourite championship?
It's a tough to call. I love the East for a couple of reasons. I love the West for a load of reasons. The South's unbelievable because it has that jacket aspect on it, and the people down there look after you so well. I love St Andrews then because I go with my dad there. He has fallen in love with St Andrews. It's cool to be there. You're playing St Andrews, I suppose, is the only way to put it. So I don't really have a favourite. I kind of just, they're all good. I know that's probably the roundabout answer to it, but I don't really. If I had to pick one that I'd like to win the most, would be the East because it's beside me.
Yeah.
That would be the only reason that I pick it.
It's interesting because obviously you've come second there, the last 2 years in a row. It's unfortunate you just you met an Alex Maguire who was just having 2 years that were just unbelievable.
Yeah.
Going into it then this year, because this will probably go out in and around the East. It's a bit of a home game for you, like you're saying. It's close. You'll stay at home. You'll drive there.
Yeah, like it's 20 minutes from the house, so I can go up and down at my leisure, and there's no stress on it. I love Baltray. I just think it's a very underrated golf course as well. I don't think it gets enough sort of credit for how good it can be. It's scoreable when you play it the right way, but it's also very punishing if you're slightly off. So it's a really good test, I always find, and we generally get decent weather for it, which makes life a bit easier too. So yeah, look, I've been playing it since I was under 18. We had a competition when I was in Greenock called Monarch Trophy, which is like foursomes golf against interclubs. So it's a course I know for a long time, and as I say, people can get up. It's 20 minutes away from us, so everyone can get up and watch you. It has that homely feel about it, and even the Baltray members want you to win as well, which is a nice feeling too. Yeah. Even sometimes they might root against their own, but they'll never admit that.
Is there an additional pressure of that then? Like, it's a home game, and you know what it means to you, having friends and family there. Like, I imagine you have more friends and family coming to watch you play in the final group of the
Yeah.
East than you did in the South or the West,
Yeah.
just by virtue of being 20 minutes
Too
down the
far
road.
away, yeah.
Is there can you feel that?
Not really. Like, it's funny when I go to Baltray, it's kind of like, because I played it at less sort of competitive levels, it's kind of every time I play it, I treat it the same way. Always seem to be, as I say, second to last 2 years. Just one bad mistake on 18 last year cost me. And then the years previous was just a couple of lip outs on the way in. It's fine margins at this level all the time, but I think it's more that I just play it as if it's 18 holes with the lads, because it feels so familiar. It's like playing Dundalk nearly in one sense. Just kind of relax on it. I don't treat it as a championship nearly.
Sure. That's a nice way of looking at it. How do you like the 36 hole day and the final day?
I'd love it to be a 4-day event like Irish Am. Obviously, it's longer and more sort of to ask off the golf club and stuff. The 36 holes in the last day is fine. It just suits someone that gets hot in the first round. So as Alex has done, he kind of shot the low one in round one, and if you have a day in between or you have to go home and sleep on that, it doesn't tend
Different
to produce
pressure.
that the second day. Whereas if you keep that momentum going, and someone like, I think Richie O'Donovan done it a few years back as well, he shot mad 64, 65 or something like that as well. It does suit or does favour someone that has a good low round first round on the last day. So does it take away from it a little bit? Maybe, because it does.
There's pressure with
Yeah, it's
sleeping
just
on
different
a
ways of
lead,
doing
for
it.
sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Whereas if you kind of go out and first round's half decent, then you're kind of all of a sudden having to change a little bit maybe in the last round and push a wee bit more maybe, or you might just come attack it a wee bit differently.
Although I imagine you're not going to change too much of your strategy. The last 2
I'm
years
just
have been
gonna-
pretty good for
Yeah,
you.
no, just try and hold a few more putts, that's all.
That's fair enough. You spoke about Dundalk, your club, a good bit now. Obviously, you joined there after originally learning to play in Greenore. How important is the club to you?
Yeah, massively. Like Greenore, as I say, starting there was very big to me. They would have looked after me really well. The juvenile conveners out there, only for them, they would have tucked me in and out the road as well when Dad was at work or whatever. They would have been going out regular, so they'd pick me up in town and take me out.
Oh, wow.
So it was kind of a good club to be part of there. The main reason joining Dundalk was it's 5 minutes from my house versus 35-minute drive, so it was a no-brainer really. And since I've joined, it's they make you feel at home all the time. They want you to do well. They support you in every way they can. Every week there's a text from someone saying, where are you this week, or well done this week, or whatever. And it would be random people that you might not speak to from one end of the year to the other, but they'll text you just to let you know that they're watching you and kind of keeping an eye on the golf. And what it's done as well is kind of set up a nice little atmosphere in the club that amateur golf is kind of important in Dundalk now. They all watch, not just me anymore, or own even to an extent. They'll watch Collie, they'll watch Evan and RD, or Valtray, should I say, not RD anymore. But they'll watch all the lads. Like, they know everyone now in amateur golf, and when they turn pro, they keep an eye on them and ask me, have you been talking to Rob Moore, and have you been talking to Mark Power, that kind of aspect on it. So it's kind of really grown in Dundalk, the amateur side of it, and that's helping me then because they want to see you do well. Like,
For sure. And do you get to play much club golf, like senior cup or the likes of that with Dundalk now?
yeah, so I'm part of the selecting committee this year, so
Okay.
it's one of my good mates, two of my good mates kind of involved in it. So they just said, look, you're going to be playing on it. Do you want to have your say in it too? And I was like, well, whatever. Like, I don't mind giving you a hand because it's hard work, especially when you're two teams, you have Shield and Senior Cup. So kind of just give them a hand wherever they need it. But yeah, I always try and make myself available. I'd never be one for saying I'm busy or anything. I'd always make myself available to play in it. And also trying to just play 9 holes with the younger lads now that's on the team. Just make myself available more for that as well to kind of help them out if I can.
Do you try and take on a bit of a mentor role within the club? Like, obviously, people have been very good to you in terms of bringing you up. Do you just pay it forward where you can?
Yeah, I'd always, like, if there's any of the young lads that ask me or that, I'd always try and accommodate it when I can. As I say, probably don't play a lot at home. I play most Saturdays if I can throughout the winter and stuff like that there in more recent years. But if I'm available, I'd always make sure I try and get out to them. If they ask me anything or ask me to help them out with anything club wise or something, if I have something lying around, I'll always help them out.
You mentioned that you're not playing quite as much. Do you think that time away from golf and like kind of I know you said you're playing like part time, but you still played a pretty full schedule last season, and I imagine you're probably going to play a pretty full schedule this season.
Yeah, no, last year was I said I wasn't going to do it, and one thing led to another, and you get a call from the Irish team, you're never going to turn it down. So I kind of ended up playing probably more events than not. Then with Walker Cup and stuff, kind of selectors got at me as well to play a few events. So I probably played more because of performances in the previous events.
Okay.
Probably wouldn't have played a few of them, only I'd done well at the event beforehand or whatever way I worked out. Didn't expect to get picked on 6-man, but performances led me to be selected. And then obviously with Walker Cup, I thought I'd deserve a shot at it again. Anything I played in last year, I done well. Any team sort of aspects, I helped the team out at each time. So that was probably why I played a lot more last year than I planned. This year definitely won't. If I play maybe the East, St Andrews and the South now, just with holidays and stuff, I need time off to myself as well. Like, it's just doing it since 2016, 2017. I know it doesn't seem much, but that 7 years of intense golf is long. Amateur golf as well. If you're not going to be turning pro, you don't want to get stale with the amateur side of it and playing for the sake of playing. Like, there's no real massive outcome if you're not going to turn pro. Obviously, winning it, you'd want to win. Don't get me wrong, but I mean that the further down the line, what's going to happen next sort of thing, you're just going to always play amateur golf. So you don't want to burn yourself out there either. So that's kind of why I'm going to take a bit more of a backseat to it.
What do you do away from golf? What do you do to decompress or relax?
Play the PlayStation, meet me mates for a few pints. Be a good man if there's anyone looking to go to the pub. I'd always be probably first man up to go. But no, we chill out. As I say, Haley's there. We always kind of find something to do. Plenty of Netflix and whatnot watched. But I kind of am a lazy man at heart as well. I like to just lie around doing not a whole pile. So yeah, that's probably what I do mostly.
You spoke about the Walker Cup there and being overlooked at a time when you were playing very, very good golf. Was that a bitter pill to swallow?
Yeah, probably more so than the previous one. Definitely, not going to say hurt, but you kind of look at it and see who's around the area. You feel you're better than a couple of them. A couple of events where making a cut is massive, that one person may not have made it and you did and had a decent finish in that event, and it kind of was overlooked. You're a bit sour about it. I know when I got the phone call this time to tell me I wasn't selected, because I probably was even similar to the last one, top 2 automatic spots get in off Wagger, and I was second up until the final refresh, and then Alex obviously won the college event. He overtook me, and then I wasn't picked at all. So I kind of accepted that a bit more. But this one, I might have let my tongue do a bit more talking to the selector at the time. But when you feel hard done by and you know you probably deserve to be there, as I say, I'm at that age now. I don't mind letting people know my opinions.
Yeah, and I think you're also right to stand up for yourself and speak for yourself. If, like you're saying, you're in that Wagger spot and you felt you should be there. Is the same captain both times?
It was the same captain both times, and I kind of might have let him know that. And I asked, look, I'll be honest about it, the phone call was short. Mostly my end was quite snappy back. But I just asked the question and might have finished the conversation with, if it was someone else, I probably would have had 3 Walker Cups played. But as I always say, and I say it to everybody, you can only do so much.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, if you're not selected, you're not selected. There's no point in sitting back and crying about it and giving out about it. You kind of just have to accept it and move on, that you can't do any more than you've done. And if it's not good enough, it's not good enough. And that was just the way I kind of, after a couple of days, just thought about it then.
Do you feel a bit of a, like, if you wanted to play again for another kind of Walker Cup or team event, feel an onus to play Irish team events going forward?
Yeah, like,
and if so, how do you balance that with, this isn't your entire life?
Yeah, well, I kind of think if you want to be part of that GB&I setup now, you need to be a full-time amateur. There's no point in doing so many events a year. You have to literally, from February, go to South Africa, play right through the year, and I'm just not going to be doing that anymore. So my whole thing going forward is just going to be Irish Championships. Obviously this year's a little bit different because I play Lytham and I'm going to play St Andrews, but it's kind of in my head that this is the last year of that.
Okay.
I'm getting older as well, and watching all the young lads just grinding away in the practice area at events, I kind of, not going to say I'm laughing at them, but I'm just kind of saying I don't have that in me anymore. I enjoy going, playing a nice event, going out in the evenings for something to eat, treating it as a break, time away. But also I'd probably getting to the stage where I prefer to do a bit more stuff at home with Haley, because we never really done anything because I was so intense in the golf that we never had a holiday, we never done anything like that. So I think it's starting to get to the time where I can see myself enjoying that more than grinding out in the range and a putting green and travelling events from event to event, living out of a suitcase.
What does drive you then, or what motivates you?
Just to go and enjoy it. Like I still have a competitive edge there that, like, last week I still thought I had a chance going there that I could do well around Ross's. But going meeting the lads, like, there's a few lads that you've played with for so long, Collie Campbell being one there, TJ, Evan, there's so many of the lads there that you've played so much golf with over the years that it's kind of like getting to meet them and having the crack again, and you're feeling like a child for a few days. You switch off from everything else. It's like the outside world's gone. You're just there for the few days with the lads playing golf. That probably is one of the big things why I go still, to see the lads play a good golf course for hopefully 4 days, all going well. And as I say, if you have your week, you can compete.
All right, well, listen, I'll be following you throughout the 2024 season. We'll see you at Baltray, so hopefully you'll go one better.
Hopefully, yes, yeah. Thanks a million. Thank you.
On the tee, Jack Nicklaus.
This is the minute that millions around the world have waited for.
We will allow you to enjoy all of this. They are dancing in the pubs of Dublin. Harrington with an ace.
And we have a shining star at sunset. Rory continues his run to greatness.
The return to glory.